You never notice that silence makes you uncomfortable. Here's why: you walk into an empty room. The fridge hums. A clock ticks somewhere down the hall. Nobody's talking. Nothing's happening, and within seconds your hand is already moving toward your phone, toward the remote, toward anything that makes a sound. You tell yourself you're checking a notification. You're not really. You're running from something you can't quite name. And the real answer is far stranger than boredom. Think about the last time you were truly alone with nothing playing. No music, no scrolling, no voices. How long did it actually last before you filled it? 10 seconds? 30? Most people can't tell you because the reaching happens before the noticing does. That's the part that should stop you. Not that you filled the silence, but that you never chose to. Here's the strange part. Silence isn't peaceful to your brain. It never really was. To the oldest part of your mind, silence isn't rest. Silence is a warning. For most of human history, quiet didn't mean calm. Quiet meant something was wrong. And that ancient wiring, it's still running. Right now. In your living room, in your car, in the 2 minutes before you fall asleep. Rewind 200,000 years. Your ancestors didn't live in silence. They lived inside sound. Constant sound. Birds calling overhead. Insects buzzing low in the grass, wind moving through leaves, the soft shuffle of footsteps from the rest of the group always somewhere nearby. This wasn't background noise, this was information. A living broadcast running all day, every day, telling the brain one simple thing: everything is normal, you are safe. That broadcast never really stopped, not for a single waking hour. Even sleep wasn't silent. Fires crackled, people breathed nearby, close enough to hear. The absence of sound was so rare, so unnatural, that when it happened, it stood out immediately, not as peace, as an alert, because sometimes the noise would stop. Birds go quiet all at once. Insects fall silent. The wind seems to hold its breath. And every hunter-gatherer brain on the planet learned to read that stillness the exact same way. A predator is close. Something is watching. Freeze. This wasn't a guess. It was survival math. Animals that ignored sudden silence didn't get a second chance to learn from the mistake. Animals that flinched at silence, that went alert, scanned, froze, lived longer, passed on their genes, passed on that same jumpy, silence-hating brain. This pattern isn't unique to humans either. Watch a forest when a hawk passes overhead. Every bird stops singing at once. Biologists call it, quite literally, the hush. Prey animals across species have learned the same rule, independently over millions of years. Sound means normal, silence means threat. You inherited that rule too. It's not a personality trait. It's a shared animal alarm older than language itself. So silence became linked deep in the nervous system to danger, not metaphorically, biologically. There's a small almond-shaped structure in your brain called the amygdala. Think of it as your brain's smoke alarm, the part that reacts to threats before your conscious mind even catches up. It doesn't wait for you to think, "Am I in danger?" It just acts, and the amygdala didn't evolve to enjoy stillness. It evolved to interrogate it, to scan a quiet room and ask over and over, "Is something wrong here?" That alarm system is still installed, fully wired, fully active, sitting behind your eyes right now. It doesn't know the difference between a savanna and a studio apartment. It only knows one variable: is there sound or isn't there? In 2014, a team of psychologists ran an experiment that sounds almost too strange to be real. They put people alone in a plain, quiet room. No phone, no book, no task, just their own thoughts for 15 minutes. Before starting, each participant was given one other option: a small device that delivered a mild electric shock. Unpleasant, but nothing dangerous. Researchers asked people beforehand, "Would you ever choose to shock yourself just to have something to do?" Almost everyone said no. Some had literally paid money minutes earlier to avoid that exact shock. It wasn't close. Nobody wanted the pain. Then the room went quiet, and the timer started. Within minutes, something shifted. Nearly half the participants pressed the button, some more than once. Grown adults, alone with nothing but their own minds, chose brief physical pain over sitting in unstructured silence. Not because they enjoyed pain, because doing something, anything, felt better than doing nothing while the quiet pressed in. Read that again. People chose electric shocks over stillness. That's not weakness. That's an alarm system firing exactly the way it was built to fire, just aimed at the wrong target. There was no predator in that lab, but the ancient part of the brain didn't know that. It only knew the sound had stopped. And this isn't limited to a lab in 2014. Look at how humans across history have treated silence. Solitary confinement is considered one of the harshest punishments a prison can impose, not because of physical pain, but because of prolonged, forced silence and isolation. Sailors on long ocean voyages, monks in strict silent orders, prisoners of war held in isolation have all reported the same thing. Extended silence doesn't feel peaceful. It feels like slow psychological pressure. The mind starts generating its own noise just to cope. Some hear ringing, some hear voices. Some simply can't stop replaying old memories on a loop because a brain denied outside input will manufacture its own. Even monks who train for years to sit in silence describe it as a skill, not a natural state. It has to be practiced deliberately against the grain of instinct. That alone tells you something. If silence were naturally restful, no one would need a decade of training to sit still inside it. That's the exact switch that flips when you walk into a quiet room today and instantly reach for your phone. Your ancient alarm system doesn't know the danger is gone. It doesn't know you're in an apartment with locked doors, not an open savanna. It just registers one fact: the noise stopped. And it concludes what it has always concluded: something needs to fill this space right now, so you scroll. Not because the app is that interesting, because scrolling makes noise. Even silent noise, motion, light, information flickering past. You hum without noticing. You turn on a podcast just to have voices in the room, even ones you're not really listening to. You leave the TV on as background while you cook, while you clean, while you fall asleep. Some people can't drive without music. Some can't study without something playing behind them. Some can't even shower in silence anymore. None of that is a character flaw. It's not weak willpower or a short attention span. It's a survival system built for the savannah, still standing guard over a bedroom that was never dangerous to begin with. And here's the part that makes it worse. The modern world figured this out, whether by accident or design. Every notification, every autoplay video, every infinite scroll feed exists to be the birdsong that tells your ancient brain, it's fine, keep going, nothing's wrong. Apps are engineered to never let the silence land. The moment one video ends, the next one is already loading. The moment a feed runs dry, a new post appears. That's not a coincidence. That's a system built to exploit an alarm that's 200,000 years old, and it works because the alarm has no idea it's being played. And the less silence you tolerate, the louder that alarm gets the next time the room actually goes quiet. It's a loop. The more you feed it noise, the more urgently it demands noise the next time there isn't any. People who constantly fill every quiet moment often report that stillness feels more uncomfortable over time. Not less, the exact opposite of what you'd expect from something harmless. But here's what almost nobody tells you. The discomfort fades if you let it run its course. Studies on mindfulness and attention training show the same pattern again and again. The first 60 seconds of silence are the hardest. The urge to reach for something spikes, peaks, and then if you don't act on it, it drops. Not because the danger passed, because your brain runs out of alarm to give. It checks the room. Nothing happens. It checks again, still nothing. Eventually, even an alarm built for lions on the savannah learns, at least temporarily, that this particular silence isn't worth the energy. You walk into an empty room. The fridge hums. A clock ticks somewhere down the hall, and this time, you don't reach for anything. You just stand there. Let the quiet stretch out a little longer than it usually does. Your pulse ticks up just slightly. An old, familiar signal firing right on schedule, but nothing comes. No predator, no danger, just a room and you in it. 30 seconds pass, then a minute. The urge to fill the space is still there, but it isn't as loud as it was. You start to hear things you usually drown out. The exact rhythm of the fridge, the particular tick of that clock, your own breathing slower than you expected. And for the first time, you get to see what your ancestors never could, not because they were weaker, but because their world genuinely demanded the alarm. Yours doesn't, not anymore. The silence was never coming for you.